Cast your mind back to 2020 to what we will call, roughly the birth, or perhaps more accurately, the growth of BookTok. This hugely popular subculture on TikTok consists of mostly young women and girls reading and talking about books. We can speculate as to the timing of this growth, but many will put this down to the pandemic because while everyone is stuck at home during this time, what else are you going to do aside from panic and contemplate your own mortality, but read? And if you're a young person who can't socialize with friends, go to school or university or anything at all really for that matter, what else are you going to do with your time aside from read? Go on social media. And we're not just going to read any old books because our minds are scattered and we're bloody stressed, guys. I mean, come on. We're going to read something light, something fun, something easy to digest. Perfect. This timely cocktail blends to create what many in the book world would consider to be a boatload of money. For the publishing industry, that is. As a result, the aftermath of just a few years of getting drunk on BookTok sensations has created something very interesting indeed. Something that may or may not be ticking you off. In 2022, while we may have been out of lockdown, most places across the world were still dealing with societal changes and the uncertainty of the pandemic. But in our BookTok world, you could say publishing had taken a shift. Not only was BookTok well and truly solidified into the lexicon of the online world, but it was leaking into the real world too. Bookshops were creating display tables full of TikTok sensations, and new releases were being plastered with "as seen on TikTok" stickers. The purchasing power of BookTok wasn't just a passing trend to see out the pandemic, it was here to stay. The majority of books doing the rounds in the BookTok world at the time, and still to this day, were young adult fantasy, romance, and a blend of both called Romantasy. Of course, this isn't all BookTok was raving about, but the majority of books to be promoted and circulated were around about in this wheelhouse. At the time, these books were what we will call organically discovered. People posting videos on TikTok will talk about their favorite books and share with others. This would then inspire others to read similar books through recommendations, and the cycle continues. There was no marketing involved, no publishing industry built in. The community did this all on their own, and the sales for these types of books boomed. I'm not kidding. What BookTok did for the publishing industry, whether you like it or not, is kind of astounding. These books were being bought up in huge quantities, even resulting in things like TikTok Book Awards being created in 2023 and many book events with specific BookTok panels and promotions. Even more recently, Waterstones announced opening more stores and credited young adult readers and TikTok for the choice. And themed bookstores have been popping up across the UK alone to cater for the influx of romantasy and romance readers. I'd say from pre-2020 to 2022, BookTok was one of those places that made people feel excited to start reading again and participating in a community that loved to read. Sure, the majority of the books were similar genres, but that didn't really matter because you were enjoying reading. That's kind of the point, right? For more of us to be reading. So what happened after this point, and why has seeing the word BookTok become so annoying? Why, when, and I'm speaking for myself here, I see the word BookTok attached to a book, especially if it's in real life, do I ignore the crap out of that book? Even if, actually, it's a really great book. Believe it or not, but the idea for this video first came from a quote in the book Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. But now I see author efforts have nothing to do with a book's success. Bestsellers are chosen. Nothing you do matters. You just get to enjoy the perks along the way. Really great book, by the way, but it did give me nightmares for the weirdest reasons. The reason I think BookTok sensation, or BookTok made me buy it, has become something so annoying to see is because publishers got involved. What once was this almost underground community, as much as something like this can be underground, you get what I mean, now became something marketable, something sensational, something worth a boatload of cash. And of course, the publishing industry wanted in. I'm not going to blame them for this, it's obvious why it happened. Publishers are for-profit companies. They want to make money, and they want to publish books that people want to buy a lot of. Of course they do, but it's exactly their participation in the organic nature of BookTok that made it a little less fun. What was once short videos on book reviews and recommendations suddenly became advanced readers' copy reviews, PR boxes, and influencer events. Capitalism had well and truly infiltrated the book talk space. And it didn't stop there, because while specific genre books became popular, the publishing industry will and always has grabbed it with both hands. We saw it with the Hunger Games dystopian era, we see it now with Romantasy. Although I'd say this is something much, much bigger. Publishers were now looking for the next TikTok sensation and publishing romance, romantasy, and young adult fiction by the boatload. They were and still are capitalizing on the perfect cocktail I showed you earlier. Stressful world events plus young person social media equals romantasy. And let me be clear, this isn't just limited to romantasy. There's a pattern here, and you can tell me which camp you're in the comments, because when there are big world events, there are two genres in particular that tend to sell more during and in the aftermath of said world event: romance and dystopian. As Katie Fraser from The Bookseller puts it, romance has been a maligned genre within the industry that some people just didn't want to be associated with. But as romance readers become an economic force, publishers have had to take it more seriously and invest. Publishing is an industry, so that's what it ultimately boils down to. The upside to this book talk boom is that books that may have once been cast aside due to the genre stigma of romance are now being published, and other books that would have once been put into a literary genre category are now being firmly championed as romance books. There's still stigma attached to what was once mockingly called chick lit, and you still get noses turned up at once is sometimes seen as what many call on social media lazy writing. But for the most part, romance, whether it's fantasy, young adult, or adult, is having a resurgence, and readers are reading these fast-paced, fun books in huge quantities. But this huge boom and resurgence does have its downsides too, because while yes, a once stigmatized genre is having its moment in the sun, the selection of books on offer and even the makeup of these books aren't quite as wide varied as we would like. When it comes to seeing an endless supply of romantasy, I hate to say it, but they do tend to blend into one another. The characters don't feel as distinctive as they once were. The themes within the book could be interchanged with one another. This is no one's fault. It's just the nature of the publishing industry wanting to distribute books that their readers know they're going to like. After all, who wants to take a risk when you know that enemies to lovers in fantasy setting is going to sell every single time? As someone who likes a good romantasy read as part of my genre mix, I feel like I'm burnt out. I hate to say it, but the rate at which we have been fed romantasy books has been overwhelming, and I'm gonna be honest, I'm a little bored. I just don't know how many more of a very similar story I am geared up to read. I probably need a break. And this is coming from someone who likes a romantasy book. I like the genre. What about people who just don't? The online book space is filled with very similar books that get pushed at you in one way or the other. If you're not into the book talk or bookstagram meta, as I'll put it, you're screwed. There may be a lot of people out there posting social media content about other genres, but due to the way the algorithms work, you'll struggle to keep finding them. I am sure, and guys, I feel it too. It's frustrating to see the same books or the same types of books over and over again on your social media feeds and not feeling like you're getting anything different, and not feel like you're discovering anything new or even finding your people who read similar books to you. And when this type of thing starts to bleed into real life, when you see Book Talk Made Me Buy It display tables in your local bookshop, yeah, I can see that being very annoying. I can see it because it annoys me too. Don't get me wrong, I love all the positives that come with what BookTok has created, but I wish this kind of hype, this kind of marketing machine would extend to other genres too. Of course, this is wishful thinking, because the reason these specific genres, romantasy, fantasy, romance, have boomed on TikTok is specifically because of the type of people posting about them. Again, mostly young women and girls. Young women and girls who can finally talk about the books they love and make them happy in a safe space. A community they have created on their own, might I add, so they can keep reading the books they love, especially during a time, the pandemic, when they couldn't really share their interests or anything much really at all with friends in real life. And while yes, consumerism in the space has gotten out of control, and no, it's not what it once was, and yes, publishing has become a little boring and annoying recently due to it, I still think it deserves a lot of credit. So I don't know, maybe this video will give us all pause for thought, because while seeing Romantasy or TikTok everywhere can be annoying, how can you be mad at a bunch of people who just want to read and have fun? But let me know, are you sick of seeing book talk books everywhere, or has this video made you feel differently? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you next time for another video.